So a couple of trailers for the new Mortal Kombat 1 came out recently with a lot of positive fan reception. Like the reveal trailer with Reptile garnered a couple million views in just a few short days. A lot of fans like the new setting of the story, which is basically a reset universe after the events of MK11. There's also a lot of excitement for the combat pack that was revealed with a lot of hyped up characters, such as Peacemaker, Homelander, and Omni-Man. It caused another rise in people wanting more crossover characters like the Shredder, Judge Dredd, and Ash Williams. There's been a lot of positive reception about the main characters first shown like Johnny Cage, Smoke, and the Lin Kuei, with Scorpion and Sub-Zero. But what a lot of fans didn't expect and are really excited for is Reptile. He looks absolutely amazing. His design, his tattoos, looking real handsome, his really cool Zaterran form, the whole thing. He looks perfect.
It was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
If you were even vaguely familiar with Reptile, you would know how done dirty he was in the previous games. It's basically a staple of his character. Basically every time he showed up, he was getting disrespected. In the interactions, in the damn movies, in his own story, he's just cannon fodder for the character to beat up and show the audience that they aren't a normal person, used as a punching bag and then forgotten about. He's honestly a pretty tragic character who's just been so humiliated constantly throughout the franchise that fans are genuinely frustrated on how he's been treated as a character. He's been a favorite of mine since I was a kid, and watching him get done dirty over and over throughout the years, I'd be lying if I said that it didn't irk me just a little bit. In the main story, he's a Saurian, also called a Zaterran, a race of bipedal reptilians that evolved from dinosaurs in the Earth realm. They had the ability to turn invisible and even look human, having a matriarchal society where if they drift away from any influence of the matriarch, they start to lose the ability to shapeshift, morphing back into their more savage forms. They were wiped out after they fled to another realm called Zaterra after the Saurians and remaining dinosaurs survived the extinction, which was caused after Shinnok waged war against the Elder Gods and fought against Raiden. They were driven to extinction after Shao Kahn invaded Zaterra, conquered it, and merged it into Shao Kahn's kingdom, with only a few survivors like Reptile and Chameleon. Reptile, whose real name is Syzoth, served under Shao Kahn and became a bodyguard to Shang Tsung, after being promised that his species will be brought back to life or as vengeance against his species for being wiped out. And that's the thing with Reptile. Yeah, he's an antagonist, he can even be seen as a villain as well, but in reality I wouldn't even exactly call Reptile evil or necessarily even a villain. Just a guy who's willing to do whatever it takes out of desperation for his selfless goal. Most of his motivations revolve around the fact that he's the last member of his kind, and he usually either wants revenge for his species or to find a way to bring the species back. Not exactly evil, pretty understandable to me. At least not as evil as, say, Shang Tsung, Shao Kahn, or Quan Chi. Like I said, he's constantly done dirty. He's humiliated in his interactions. Whenever he's close to achieving his goal, something gets in his way. He's constantly beaten, taken advantage of, and manipulated, and then just thrown away. He's constantly seen as a weak and pathetic fighter when, keep in mind, he was the bodyguard for Shang Tsung. He was actually a really strong character in the early games, but then for some reason, he was dumbed down and weakened. In Mortal Kombat 1, Liu Kang reset the timeline after the events of Mortal Kombat 11, and many things have changed. Johnny Cage is a younger actor who doesn't have access to his green Mediterranean magic abilities. Scorpion and Sub-Zero are working together. The Tarkatans aren't a separate species like in the original universe and instead victims of a disease, which is why Melina looks the way she does as she's infected as well. Reptile has some big differences. In the previous game, he usually was just a reptilian, and in his first game, Mortal Kombat 1, he was a recolored combination of Scorpion and Sub-Zero with a reptile head under his mask. A lot of fans debated on whether or not he should be human or reptilian in the next game should he be in it. This time he takes the form of a human while also being able to change back into his true form, the Saurian. The greatest difference in this alternate version of Reptile is that his species is alive, and it seems like either Zaterra isn't under any control or the Saurians are still living in Earthrealm. But another great difference is that even though his species is still alive, he's still alone, because of his power to transform into a human, meaning that the Saurians in this universe don't have the ability to shapeshift like they did in the previous one. There's also him seeming to be more on the good side, as he wasn't shown to have genuine malice in the trailer, and when he was at the festival, he tells Katana that she's misreading his intentions, most likely meaning that whatever intentions he has are good, as it also seems that he freed Johnny Cage and Sub-Zero and is teaming up with them. This time he uses both his human form and his natural saurian form in combat. In the previous games, because he was a humanoid reptile, he could fight like a person while also having things like claws, fangs, and acidic spit. But with alternate Reptile, he can morph entire body parts into his beastly saurian form and even fully transform into it at will. There is a lot of potential for Reptile in MK1. His overall changes add a lot of potential to whatever expanded lore the writers have for him, like the lore behind his tattoos, what they really mean, why the Saurians can't shapeshift in this universe, why Syzoth seems to be the only one to do it, what the Saurians really look like. Assuming that this version of the Saurians also evolved from dinosaurs, they might have some type of bipedal Triceratops Saurian or a T-Rex Saurian. A lot of possibilities for his species, but also his character. He can finally be shown as strong, like how he was shown in his earlier appearances. He was the bodyguard for Shang Tsung, and he literally beat both Shang Tsung and Shao Kahn twice. Now, I'm not saying he needs to be Elder God level in the game, but he definitely shouldn't be ridden weak like he was in the previous games. Probably on Johnny Cage's level or even the Lin Kuei, like Scorpion, Sub-Zero, and Smoke. Not underestimated, humiliated, and beaten down like previously. I'm also excited on how they'll write his character. In basically every other incarnation and story he was in, his motivation had to do with his dying or already extinct species or conquered realm, whether it was vengeance for the Saurians, reviving them, trying to find every last remnant of a civilization, trying to free Zatara. They all had to do with something happening to the Saurians and or Zatara itself. But with this alternate universe, it seems like the Saurians are okay, like nothing has happened to them. So if his motivation isn't for the better of his people, what is Reptile's motivation? Why is he doing what he is doing? Of course, there's a great evil that wants to mess up the realms, and that's already enough motivation for any character, but I'm certain there's a secondary reason as to why. Is he helping Liu Kang and the other characters to make sure that even though his species ran him out, banished him, exiled him, and were terrified of his shapeshifting abilities, he still wants to make sure his people are safe? That could be why, a very good reason why. There's a sheer, incredible amount of potential for Reptile. He could finally be written well like he deserves. Fans could finally get what they want. A respected Reptile. Someone who's not humiliated, taken advantage of, insulted constantly, used as fodder over and over again. A strong, respected fighter. A fresh start. I mean, Reptile's existence as a character is very important. You guys of course know the famous secret unlockable character in a fighting game, where you have to unlock them to fight them, or play as them as well. Whether you gotta buy them or fight this amount of matches or something. Reptile was the first secret unlockable character in fighting game history. The first. Secret unlockable characters are an iconic trope and staple throughout fighting games, and he was the first ever in fighting game history. Without him, I doubt we'd have characters like Akuma, as Akuma was also originally a secret unlockable character. I feel like both the fans and him as well deserve a little something in MK1. A little happy moment for him or something. I sure as hell hope he doesn't get killed off soon, or at all in the story, but if he does have to die, I just hope that it will be a well-deserved honorary death for Reptile. Thanks for watching. Tell me what you think in the comments. I got links to my social description. Be kind to yourselves and each other. Thanks for watching.